to your top story this morning. Members of Parliament yesterday voting in favour of establishing a special committee to investigate Public Protector Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane's fitness to hold office. Now, an independent panel, led by retired Constitutional Court Justice Blessing Kabembe, found that there is prima facie evidence of incompetence and misconduct against Mkhwebane. This paved the way for Parliament to decide whether or not to investigate the Public Protector, and as we now know, it has decided to go ahead and establish that committee. Let's get you some analysis on the story now. We're joined by Professor Jannie Roussow, joins us via our video link in Johannesburg this morning. Prof, thanks very much for your time this morning. And in fact, as far back as 2017, some 4 years ago, you already argued that at least one of the cases that Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane had findings on exposed massive issues of overreach.
Good morning, Michelle. Good morning to the viewers. Indeed, the advocate in her role as public protector clearly misunderstood then and still misunderstands her role and tried to make findings on things like the Constitution of South Africa, etc. So all along, she's not been suitable for this position. I'm therefore very glad that formal action will follow.
Quite a big decision by Parliament yesterday. Are you surprised that this motion was passed in the first place?
Yes, indeed. I'm surprised in as much as the government, the ANC in Parliament, supported an opposition motion. Now, this is a major step forward for the development of democracy in South Africa, that the ruling party can indeed have the insight to understand that the opposition can bring motions that should be supported. So from that angle, it is a major development, a major step forward for democracy in South Africa. I'm however saddened by the response of the EFF, which tried to make this a racial issue. And as often happens in South Africa, with just about everything that the EFF touches, they only have a race to argue it on and no facts. But I'm very saddened by the fact that the EFF again tried to make this a racial issue rather than to focus on the merits of the motion that the DA brought.
I mean, saddened as well in terms of the fact that this sets a new precedent in terms of the head of a Chapter 9 institution facing an inquiry into their fitness to hold office. Is that, how do we read that? How do we understand that in this moment? Is it a good thing? I mean, none of us should be exempt from scrutiny, or is it a strange day in our country's democracy?
No, that part, the fact that the head of a Chapter 9 institution can be subject to parliamentary and public scrutiny is a very positive development. Yeah. Nobody can be above scrutiny, and this is what the EFF clearly misses in their argument. Irrespective of race or gender or whatever the case might be, the heads of these institutions must be subject to public scrutiny, especially in cases where they are clearly incompetent. It is then not an issue of race or anything, it's a question of competency. And from that perspective, the development of a proper system to subject people at the head of these institutions is a very positive step forward. It takes our democracy forward. And from that perspective, it is something that all South Africans should welcome.
In terms of some of the issues that the independent panel cited when they said there is a case to be made for incompetence by the Public Protector, you mentioned the issues around overreach by Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane, but that panel also citing, and several court decisions as well, also citing an incorrect interpretation on several occasions by the advocate.
Yeah,
of the law that is, Professor Roussow.
Yeah, indeed, Michelle. Many of the findings of the Public Protector have now been overturned in a court of law, which shows a fundamental incompetence in doing a job. And surely, if there's a fundamental incompetence in doing a job, it is time that we develop in our democracy the right procedures to get rid of such a person. Incidentally, with all these findings turned over, one would have expected the Public Protector to do the honourable thing and just resign her job. We expect in the private sector, when people can't do their jobs, that they will just resign their jobs. But apparently, this message has not reached the Public Protector. But in the normal state of affairs, when a person is incompetent for a job, one would expect resignation.
Prof Roussow, in terms of the mandate of the Office of the Public Protector, as important as it is that no one is exempt from scrutiny, there are real concerns about communities now and their very serious issues being left unattended or at least delayed by what's unfolding now?
Yeah, you're quite right. The unfortunate matter here, of course, in addition to everything I've said, is that the Public Protector got more and more dragged into political matters and tried to play a political role rather than to be a private protector for all South Africans in all matters under consideration. And as it is, the Public Protector is now on extended leave, so one will have to see how this plays out.
Do we know how long this panel will now have to do its work, this parliamentary panel?
Well, judging from the Zondo Commission, all I can say is too long. Unfortunately, in South Africa, the issues remain the same, only the names of the commissions and committees change. So, as often happens in South Africa, this panel or committee or commission, whatever we call it, will drag its feet and it will take too long. What we want to see here is rapid action.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope you're wrong, and let's hope you do see, and all of us do see, rapid action by this committee indeed. Professor Jannie Roussow, thanks very much for your time this morning on the AM Report. He's from Wits Business School, and he joins us now as we continue to unpack our leading story on the AM Report this morning.